the Bell Garden City Council and Successor Agency may participate in today's meeting telephonically. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. Conflict of interest recusal. If any of the members should have conflict of interest, please announce any item you are recusing from due to a conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Invocation. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Reynaldo Leal, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our Girl Scouts Troop 2543.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, all the council men and councilwomen, our new councilwoman too, Francis de Leon. It's an honor to be here and meet you, and all of you. Hope all of you had a wonderful and blessed New Year. I hope we eat lots of tamales. Our city manager too, and the rest of the staff. Well, this month I know that it's a time to recognize our officers, and I want to honor and recognize our chief and all the rest of the police officers that are here, and all of the staff that work there with our police officers. Thank you for being doing such a great job. When I thought about this first meeting, I came to my mind a verse from Psalm 65:11 that says, "You have crowded the year with thy goodness, and your paths lead us to well-being." So let us pray and remember that as we pray, we come into the presence of God. So let us bow our heads. Father, we want to thank you for the blessing of being, Father, alive in this new year. Thank you for pulling us through. Thank you for all of our leaders here, our Madam Mayor, our councilmen, our councilwomen, especially that we recognize our police officers. May you continue to guard them and keep them and bless them, and they'll continue to be a very special blessing for our city. Father, we give you this meeting, and we give you each one of the meetings. May you continue to guide our leaders. May you be with them. May you give them the wisdom and the grace that they need, Father. We ask this in the precious name of Jesus. And can we say amen? Thank you.
Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated.
Okay, we will now move on to presentation. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Cortez. Tonight we had a presentation from Grid Alternatives. They're a nonprofit that provides solar solutions to disadvantaged communities. We're asking.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but can we take roll call first?
Sorry, City Clerk. Yes, can we please do take roll of the members of the City Council and Successor Agency?
Thank you. Members of the Council and Successor Agency, Barcena?
Present.
Chavez?
Present.
Pulido?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Sanchez?
Present.
And Mayor and Chair Cortez.
Present.
Thank you.
City Manager.
Thank you. Long story short, we're requesting to move the presentation to the next meeting so they can be here in person.
Thank you, City Manager. We're now moving on to public participation. It is now open for items listed on the City Council as well as the Successor Agency joint agenda. City Clerk, can you please announce the instructions for public participation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the City Council Successor Agency joint agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the members of the Council and Successor Agency. Each speaker and written comments are limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber. If you haven't done so already, please submit your comment card now. I have not received any in person. Let me see if we have any attendees. And we do not have any hands raised in Zoom. And we did not receive any written communications on any agenda item. Oh, excuse me, I did have one person. It looks like they just raised their hand. Zoom ID, Jerry Reese, if you would please select the microphone icon, you may proceed with your comment. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jerry Ruiz, and I'm a lawyer with the law firm of Frost Brown Todd Alvarado Smith in Los Angeles. And I'm here to just monitor the agenda item involving the Bell Gardens, Parkview Terrace Gardens apartments, and just to be available to answer any questions if necessary. That's it.
Thank you. And that was the last person who had their hand raised virtually.
Okay, if there's no speakers or written comments, if there's no objection by the members, I will close public participation. And we're now going to go ahead and move on to consent calendar for successor agency only. Does any member of the agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? City Clerk, can you please go over the update for item number 1?
Thank you. Before taking a vote, I want to note that the minutes for that was added under item number 1 for January 24th, August 22nd, and November 14, 2022 were previously approved at the December 12th City Council meeting, and they were inadvertently added to this meeting. Therefore, staff is only seeking approval for the December 12th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Okay, at this point, may I have a motion to approve the items?
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. And City Clerk, can you please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. Members of the Council and Successor Agency, Barcena,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Sanchez.
Yes, but I'm going to recruit myself from item number 1 because I was not part of City Council at the time.
Thank you. And Mayor Chair Cortez.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. We're now going to go ahead and move on to City Council public hearing, item number 4. We will now begin item number 4 on the agenda. At this time, I will open the public hearing at 6:11 p.m. City Manager, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Cortez. This item is a consideration of a general plan amendment and adoption of a zoning map. Essentially, what we're doing is cleaning some things up here so that the general plan, the municipal code, the zoning map are all in alignment with each other. They've been modified and updated multiple times since at least 1995. With that, I'll turn it over to our Community Development Director, Gus Romo, for a presentation to provide more detail on this item.
Yes, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Just a quick background, the Planning Commission on November 16th of last year, I went ahead and heard this item through a public hearing and noticed public hearing, received public testimony, and went ahead and made a recommendation for approval of this item to the council for tonight's meeting. So with us tonight is Ms. Malaya Durand with Infrastructure Engineers. She will go ahead and be giving the presentation. Infrastructure Engineers prepared this item. They were the consultant that was selected and is here tonight. Malaya, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hello, good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable council members. Can everyone hear me okay? Wonderful, wonderful. The agenda item and recommendation actions before your council are to ensure consistency between the city's guiding documents to facilitate streamlined project and entitlement review, foster housing production, and appropriately managed growth, and meet state and local housing goals addressing equity, access to housing, and Bell Gardens' continued effort at protecting public health, safety, and welfare. Is the presentation still active?
All right, give me one moment while I
No.
get the correct screen on.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, am I in the right place? Yes.
You are? That's perfect. All right. Staff is recommending the adoption of the proposed negative declaration, finding the project would have no significant impact on the environment since individual projects would undergo applicable review at the time of subsequent action. Is recommending the adoption of the General Plan Amendment GPA 2021-063 for an updated official citywide land use designation map. The approval of the Zone Code Amendment ZCA 2021-063 for an updated corresponding citywide official zoning designation map. And finally, the introduction and waiver of the full reading of ordinance number 929, amending Title 9 of the Bell Gardens Municipal Code, reflecting the 1995 General Plan update changes and applicable 2021-2029 planning period housing element update changes that were approved by the Bell Gardens City Council in February 2022. Next slide. Thank you. During this brief presentation, your council will hear that project background and history, a summary of the community engagement efforts, and recommended action details for next steps. I, the project consultant, and city staff are on hand to answer questions or provide clarification if necessary. So let's begin with some background. Some definitions. A land use map shows the general plan, planned and future designations that would provide general guidance in the density, character, and location of land uses within a municipality. A zoning map shows specific land use zones, overlays, or districts as they pertain to a city's zoning code and must be consistent with the general plan's land use designations. Land use and zoning maps are helpful tools that developers and property owners use to coordinate and determine the highest and best use of land that can be incorporated into the existing fabric of the intricately woven community. Consistent and current official documents are a must to help Bell Gardens manage growth in a way our city has determined to be most beneficial. Next slide. Perfect. The last update to the general plan land use element and map was completed in 1995 as part of the comprehensive general plan update. This current project is necessary to make all general plan land use designations and zoning map designations consistent with one another and captures all historical zone changes and zoning ordinance amendments that have been completed since 1995. The project is also meant to apply new mixed-use zoning corridors throughout the city pursuant to the 1995 land use map and ensure consistency with the city's newly adopted housing element for the 2021-2029 housing element cycle. Next slide. The amendments approved would facilitate the application of policies and programs set forth in the Bell Gardens 2021-2029 housing element. During this project, the entire city was evaluated parcel by parcel for inconsistencies. The zoning and general plan land use designations on the proposed updated maps reflect a comprehensive and thorough review of the general plan, land use, and zoning maps to ensure corrections and updates have been made throughout. Next slide, please. This is the current general plan land use map that was last updated in 1995. Next slide. This is the current zoning map. A zoning code amendment associated with the 1995 general plan amendment stopped just short of recommending action adopting the official zoning map. So this map was unadopted. Next slide, please. All right. So each parcel within the city was checked to ensure consistency between the land use and the zoning designations. Consistency overall aids property owners with clear parameters for development, alleviating encumbrances like added discretionary review, like individual general plan amendments for project proposals. This slide summarizes the findings of the evaluation and the inconsistencies that were eliminated throughout. This happened through 105 parcels that had land use updates, 717 parcels with zoning map updates, and 95 zoning overlay district map updates. These updates and corrections resulted in the reduction of legal non-conforming uses throughout the city from around 1,000 down to a mere 57 legal non-conforming sites citywide. For context, that is out of 4,282 parcels in the city of Bell Gardens. Next slide. On the screen is the proposed updated general plan land use map. The amendments being proposed accommodate a broader range of uses to help residents with access to housing and services by expanding the opportunities to develop mixed uses with higher density residential development and commercial development. Next slide. This is the proposed updated zoning map. An official zoning map would advertise those development opportunities in a meaningful and comprehensive way, helping to facilitate faster review and entitlement processing. As a part of the community outreach efforts, citywide mailers and social media blasts were sent to residents and property owners identified on the county tax assessor's roll and posted on the internet. Community workshops were held before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission meeting was well attended with no comments or questions from either the commission nor the members of the public in attendance. Next slide. As a result of this work, inconsistencies throughout the city have been updated and corrected. Rezoning of parcels has occurred to ensure consistency with general plan land use map. Upzoning throughout the city has occurred to accommodate the opportunity for higher density residential development. And finally, an application and expansion of mixed use corridors has occurred throughout the city. The recommended action on the proposed updates would help the city facilitate development and growth management, yet still ensure appropriate review as each proposal would dictate. Next slide. In summary, action on the proposed amendments would continue to meet the city's vision put forth in the general plan and subsequent and corresponding adopted resolutions. Next slide, please. Tonight, the council was presented project background and history from the 1995 general plan through the 2022 housing element updates and the need for consistent policy framework. A summary of community engagement efforts from individual parcel assessments within the city to public notices and workshop endeavors, and the recommended action details for official maps. The next step for text amendments would include the introduction of the draft ordinance, and if considered for consent, its subsequent second reading. Staff recommends approval of the items. Next slide, please. This concludes the Community Development Department's presentation of the proposed general plan and zone code amendments. Staff is available for any questions and or direction council may have. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to council member comments or questions. City manager, would you just mind clarifying? I know there were some questions over the weekend with regards to this, and we made a social media post, but if we can just reiterate some of the changes so that our community understands it a little bit better.
Sure. I think what we wanted to clarify first off is there's no imminent domain threat resulting from this action here. There are no new projects, park, high density, things of that nature that are being contemplated through this action here as well. I'll ask Gus Romo to speak a little bit further if he wants to go into some more detail. But I think those were a couple of the things that we saw coming up over the last few days, some misunderstandings and that. So we just want to clarify that. And Gus, if you could add a little more to that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, sir, you are correct in that statement. This is a written change to documents. There's no physical project that's being contemplated. What this does is it corrects several inconsistencies that have existed throughout the years, where people have come in and said, well, why does my general plan land use say one thing and my zoning say something else? So we've gone ahead, gone through comprehensively through the documents and made those updates. And at the same time, we've taken historical amendments and have included them in this update. So rather than piecemealing each change, this is looking at a comprehensive update to make sure that our general plan and our zoning map and codes are consistent. So that is correct, sir.
Thank you, guys. And as I read on the report, this is an update that we will be doing every 8 years. Is that correct?
The housing element is required to be done at that time frame, but not the actual element itself. When we do update the land use element at the next time, we will be making sure there is an updated consistency review within a year or two from that period.
Okay. And if residents have further questions, they can contact Community Development Department, right?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you, guys. Any other questions, comments from council? Okay, at this point, we're going to go ahead and open the public participation. Public comments for this item, City Clerk, will you please announce the instructions?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on the public hearing item number 4. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the mayor and council members. Each speaker and written comments are limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone. And when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber. If you haven't done so already, please submit your comment cards now. We did not receive any in-person communication, and we didn't receive any written communication. Any member of virtual participant would like to raise their hand? We did not receive any as well.
Thank you, City Clerk. If there's no objection by the City Council, I will now close public participation. And if there's no further council member questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing for this item at 6:25 p.m. May I have a motion to approve staff recommendations as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. May I have a second?
I second.
Okay, second. City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Council members Barcena,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Okay, that motion carries. We're going to move on to public hearing item number 5. As listed on the agenda at this time, I will open the public hearing at 6:25 p.m. City Manager, will you please introduce the public hearing?
Thanks again, Mayor Cortez. This item comes to the council approximately every 3 years. It's the adoption of the 2022 California Building Code. So this is where we take a look at the building code that's adopted by the state, by LA County, and then modify our code accordingly so that they line up. So with that, I'll turn it over again to our Community Development Director, Gus Romo, for additional information.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor and City Council. This was in 2019. So staff is recommending that the City Council conduct the public hearing, receive public testimony, and lastly, waive the full reading of the ordinance and introduce ordinance 930, adopting by reference titles 26 through 31 of the 2022 Los Angeles Building Codes and Title 32 of the 2022 Los Angeles County Fire Code. Next slide. Uniform Building Code, as we've indicated, and the fire codes are required to be updated every 3 years to reflect any changes, materials, and advances in technologies in the building and life safety industry. State of California regulates the adoption of these uniform codes and mandates which codes are to be statewide regulations. The new 2022 California Building Codes are based on the following codes: the International Building Code, the Plumbing Code, the Mechanical Code, the National Electrical Code, the International Residential Code, the California Green Building Standards Code, and finally, the International Fire Code with state and local mandates, or amendments, I should say. Next slide. The LA County Board of Supervisors have adopted the local county building and fire codes with amendments based upon the state codes. The city's existing building code, electrical code, and so forth will be amended to reflect the updated county codes. Pursuant to the Government Code, Section 50022.2, the city must conduct a public hearing prior to adopting an ordinance by reference, and that's why we're here tonight. This adoption is required as a condition of compliance with the state statute as it relates to building and fire code regulations. State law requires a copy of the adopted codes to be on file at City Hall. The code sets are each 1,700. So we've identified that this code will be on file with the Community Development Department. So we will not have to have two different sets, one at the city clerk's office and one at community development. This will save the city an additional $1,700 in cost. Next slide. So this concludes the presentation. There are any other questions here to answer? Thank you.
Is there any questions by the city council? Okay, at this point, we'll go ahead and open public participation for this item. City clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on the public hearing item number 5. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the mayor and council members. Each speaker and written comments are limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time, dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber first. If you have not done so, please submit your comment cards now. Have not received any in-person comment cards. Any virtual participant, if you would like to raise your hand to speak on this item, please do so. We did not have anyone raise their hand virtually, and we didn't receive any written communication on this item.
Okay, if there's no objection by the city council, we'll go ahead and close public participation. And if there's no further council member questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing at 6:31 p.m. May I have a motion? A motion to approve, to approve and waive full reading and introduce ordinance number 930.
I second.
Did anybody move? Do you want to move?
I move.
I'll second. Thank you.
Okay, motion by Sanchez, second by Barcena. Roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Council members Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Okay, now moving on to city manager report.
Thanks again, Mayor Cortez. Just want to mention, everybody, obviously it's 2023. This is the first full council meeting with the new city council after last year's elections. I want to just take the opportunity, if I can, to just thank our staff, thank volunteer residents for coming out over the holiday season. We had our tree lighting ceremony, holiday parade, winter wonderland. We assisted with the toy giveaway up at Dell Records, and I think everything went really well, really smooth, from our public works to our recreation community services, our police department, the administrative staff, community development. I think we're firing on all cylinders with these events, and I think the residents and stakeholders, it seemed like everybody had a great time, and it really brought the holiday spirit, I think, to everybody that showed up to these events. Kind of as cleanup from some of these events, I just want to remind everybody, Athens is doing tree collection, Christmas tree collection through the end of this week, and if anybody's busy or late to get their live Christmas trees out, you can also drop them off at Veterans Park or Public Works. Monday through Thursday through next Thursday. So Athens, this is the second week I think that they're picking up. And then after this, you need to bring it to Veterans Park or Public Works and we'll take care of it. You can look on our calendar and see some more information. Tomorrow, the Community Family Services Center is hosting another financial literacy workshop. It's tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Veterans Park. All attendees are eligible to win a prize as well. So this is a second, I think, in our series of at least 3. There's another one next month. Also plug back on our farmers market on Fridays at Veterans Park at 11 a.m. Those were curtailed for a couple of weeks due to the farmers and the sellers being busy during the holidays, and I think the weather as well. It's a couple more items. There is our monthly pet clinic is at Veterans Park on Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. And lastly, next Monday, the city is recognizing and observing Martin Luther King Day and his contributions to the civil rights movement in the United States. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Moving on to consent calendar for the City Council. Does any member of the City Council wish to pull any item for separate discussion? Okay, if there's no items to be pulled, may I have a motion, a second to approve?
I will motion to approve consent calendar items 6 to 13.
May I have a second? I'll second that motion. Roll call vote.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bersena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes, except item number 9, I'm going to reclude myself from that because I was not present during that time.
thank you, and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Motion carries. City Manager, moving on to discussion item number 14.
Thanks again, Mayor Cortez. This next item is an update with some information for the council regarding a community engagement tool. This is an item that has been discussed at a couple levels here at the city for some time. We talked about it during the budget process. In the last couple of months, it's been brought up as well from a number of avenues. Behind the scenes, we've been working on looking at other cities, what apps they use, looking at the current means for residents to request services or provide information to the city. And so at this time, we're ready to provide an update. And in the staff report, we've got a proposed timeline and process. Hyla Soto, our assistant to the city manager, has been working on this project behind the scenes. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Hyla to provide a presentation and then receive and file and or seek further direction from the council. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. This is just a quick update on the city app that the staff has been working on for the past few months. So just some quick background information as was provided in the staff report. Community engagement tools come in different shapes and form factors, and they're used to engage communities and stakeholders. And it could be locally, in county level, federal, state. Currently, the city of Bell Gardens uses the more common types of engagement tools, including emails, telephone, and website for the public to submit requests for services. And the requests for services come in different forms, from public safety, being non-emergency services or emergency through the 911 system. It could be trash, street repairs, requests for graffiti removal, program registrations, and even inquiries on building permits. Many local agencies have unified the services that I mentioned before and consolidate them through an app, through a city app, mobile app that's branded for their constituents. And the examples that I'm showing are some of the surrounding cities, including the cities of Bell, Downey, Linwood, Montebello, and Pico Rivera, and they actively promote their mobile apps to their constituents and stakeholders. Mobile city apps are a popular form of community engagement as the usage of smartphones has increased. Staff, they contact 3 large mobile app developers and simply just to get an understanding for the look, feel, and the approximate cost to deploy a fully customizable mobile app. The 3 app vendors that the city contacted were Civic Plus through the C-Click Fix, the GoGov, and Rock Solid. The mobile app vendors, after several demonstrations, video, and providing us a list of the cities that they provide the apps for, they've all indicated similar products, including having a cloud-based storage. It would be available both on the Google Play and the Apple Play stores. And the developers will be responsible for all the security and technical updates deployed regularly. And I'm just going to show a quick video of one of the vendors, just kind of highlighting what the app does. Maybe a little bit louder.
The branded mobile app is designed specifically for your municipality. Provide your citizens with an app your citizens can trust and unrivaled access to agency staff and services right at their fingertips. And they will enjoy the useful information included in the app, like important phone numbers, elected official bios, local places, social media pages, and more. With a branded mobile app, your citizens can search for your municipality or app name in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and easily download the app to their smartphones. And best of all, the branded mobile app is included with our popular citizen request management and citizen notification solutions. Ultimately, all of this helps you focus on what's important, engaging your community and strengthening the relationship between government and your citizens. The branded mobile app is
All right, so that was just a quick video, just highlighting some of the features of a mobile app. The price range for these annual services, after discussing it with the developers, was roughly between 12 to 17, give or take, and that was just a small sample. But since the cost will be exceeding over 10,000, and based on the city's procurement policies, staff will need to go out to an RFP, which we'll be releasing it this month, and the proposals will be due at the end of next month, February 2023. And staff will be bringing back a recommendation for the city council consideration sometime between March and April of 2023. And then by then we'll have a timeline when the app could go live at that point. So just concluding the presentations, and just like Mike had indicated earlier, funds were budgeted in this current fiscal year for this specific purpose, and it's we don't anticipate requesting any additional funds at this time, and it is now staff's recommendation the city council provide further direction or just receive and file, and then another update that it's mentioned will be provided early spring, late winter, early spring. Thanks.
Questions from council, comments?
Hi, thank you, staff, for bringing this forward. I think we've all been hoping to see this item come up, so thank you. The question I have is in regards to the price. Does that include, for example, like text messaging fees and all of the other additional fees that are usually related to these types of applications?
This is a mobile app, so it's going to be data driven. So there's no text messages that we sent out. Anyone that installs the application will receive, they could get like a push notification, which is sent through the app using data. There's a separate service, for example, Text My Gov. That one is not app-based. It's only, that one's text-based exclusive. And for example, that vendor does have a limit on the number of text messages that will be pushed out, but it's a different type of form factor because there will be a phone number that the citizens will be able to, or residents will be able to send a text message and get a response, kind of like through a bot chat, and there will be able to provide messages through a text form. But in this case, there's no limit on since there's no text, it's just all data driven. And it looks like based on the price structure, what we received was the price structure is based more on the population of jurisdiction. So larger jurisdictions will pay more simply because they're assuming they're going to have more users. So in essence, actually, since this process, and as you recall, we also had the 2020 census. There was a population decrease, an official population decrease through the 2020 census. And it seems like some of these app developers had a 40,000 population limit. So with the latest numbers, we actually dropped right below it. So we actually saw like a little bit of a decrease. Potentially, of course, once we go out to RFP, everyone will be able to submit a bid. So we're not sure what the price structure will be at that point, but that's the sense that some of the vendors indicated.
Thank you for that. I'd like to propose to the council an idea about this app. I think it's a great thing. We're actually getting to do it now. I was talking to the city manager earlier today before the meeting, and I wanted to ask him if he thought it might be useful to have like an ad hoc committee. My idea was basically a digital engagement ad hoc committee that can provide a little bit of guidance in the process of going to RFP, because I guess that's the recommendation that we're receiving today from staff. I'd like to volunteer for that, given that my background is in technology and consumer behavior, and that I worked on social media here in the city as an employee for over 10 years. So I'd like to volunteer as a member of that ad hoc. And also I did work with our newest council member on a campaign called Fix It, which was basically an online portal designed to give residents the opportunity to reach out directly. So it was basically like a pseudo app. And, I thought it went well. We did get some participation. So because we have our feet wet already making these types of efforts, I'd like to invite my colleague, Frances De Leon, to see if she would like to be part of that ad hoc. And again, this would just be to provide general guidance and also report back to the council for any major decisions that come from these efforts. So if I need to turn that into a motion, I'd love to go ahead and do that.
We'll take other comments and then you can make your motion. Is there any other comments?
Thank you so much, Hylas, for that presentation. I'm really glad to see this item here before us in discussion. I don't necessarily have a question per se, more so a suggestion when we do go out for RFP. It has to do in the time that we're living in right now, and we've seen stories about this, but I'm curious. I noticed that in the section, in the background and discussion portion and the presentation as well, you mentioned that they would be responsible for cloud-based storage, right? I'm kind of curious as to what that entails, and if they're going to be collecting information, and where is that information going to be stored?
We could definitely put that as part of for them to disclose it. In reality, most of the websites, the majority of them are actually probably through Amazon. They're the biggest server hoster in the world, and followed that by Microsoft. They have a smaller footprint. So if I had to guess it, it's probably going to be one of those two. There are some other servers, but we could definitely have them disclose that, provide where those, who's hosting those, that cloud technology, like where all the updates and on information will be centered through. Absolutely.
Adding on to that, and I'm pretty sure we've seen stories, on the news where we've seen, cloud data or information or data from students perhaps sometimes being held hostage, in attacks. I know that there's been some city governments that have been attacked, and then their data is held as hostage. And I'd be interested in seeing for the RFP, when we do put it out, that there be a section where we have their success rate in fighting hacks and fighting, these potential terrorist attacks, digital terrorist attacks. That's what I would suggest that we have for the RFP. Yeah, that'd be pretty much my suggestion. A security success rate.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? And then legal, if you could advise us on that motion.
Yes, I recommend the motion be made to create the ad hoc and bring it back at a future agenda item in order to appoint the actual ad hoc members.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
A second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Roll call vote.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor. Council members Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Councilmember Barcena, would you mind amending your motion and also including receiving and filing the report, please?
Sure. So the motion is to receive and file and go ahead and create an ad hoc committee and bring it back to the next meeting so that we can appoint the members of the ad hoc.
Okay. And then Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez, are you still okay with seconding that motion?
Yes, I second.
Okay, and then roll call. I believe we were on my vote. My vote is yes. Is there any member that wishes to change their vote? No? Okay, the motion carries. City Manager, discussion item number 15.
Thanks again, Mayor Cortez. This item is the local commission's appointment list. So at this time, it would be staff recommendation that the city council review the commission's appointment list and by motion, remove commissioners and or make appointments to the posted vacancies. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. So I'm going to go ahead and take commission by commission. If you wish to make any changes, please let me know at the time of that we're in that specific commission. At the end, we'll do one motion and 1 second to approve all the changes. So Education Commission, Councilor Barcena.
Yes, I will go ahead and appoint Christina Paolo to my Education Commission.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez, do you have any changes?
Yes, for education, I'm going to appoint Gustavo Mendez.
Councilman Pulido, do you have any changes?
None at this time.
And I'd like to appoint Oscar Boado to Education. Planning Commission, Council Member Barcena.
Yes, for Planning Commission, I would like to go ahead and appoint Armando Jesus Barcena. And I want to be very, very clear here and also ask for verification from our legal counsel. This is my first cousin once removed, and I'd like to make sure that this is something that is within our guidelines here in the city and that is completely legal before I proceed with the motion.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and appoint Armando Jesus Barcena.
I'll appoint Alexander Villalobos. And Mayor Pro Tem.
At this time for Planning Commissioner, I'd like to appoint Gabriela Gomez.
And then Councilmember Chavez or Pulido, do you have any changes?
None for me.
None.
Recreation, Culture, and Youth Commission, Councilmember Barcena.
Yes, this will be, I'm going to be appointing Isabel Duron, which is the same commissioner that I had prior to today. Thank you.
Okay, I'm reappointing Carmen Vargas. Mayor Pro Tem.
No one at this time.
And Councilman Pulido.
No changes at this time.
Councilmember Chavez.
No changes at this time.
Senior Citizen Commission, Councilmember Chavez. Councilmember Barcena, we'll come back.
Yes, I'll go ahead and appoint Anna Sanchez, which again, it's a reappointment. Thank you.
Councilmember Chavez for the senior citizen.
I'd like to appoint Diana Rivera.
Diana Rivera. Actually, City Clerk, can we reach out to Tiffany Sanchez? She was my commissioner, just to see if she wants to remain.
I have tried to reach out to all of the ones who were already seated, and I only got a handful of them. So I did not receive her application or communication, but I could reach out to her again.
Yes, please. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem
No one at this time.
and Councilman Pulido.
No changes at this time.
Traffic and Safety Commission, Councilmember Barcena.
Yes, again, this will be a reappointment of David Heredia.
I'm reappointing Raul Velasco. Mayor Pro Tem.
For traffic and safety, I'm appointing Hugo Alvarado.
Okay, any changes for the other two?
None.
Okay,
And from
I'll go ahead and move to approve the commissions. May I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
Second, roll call vote.
I'm sorry, I missed who motioned.
The motion was by myself
Yep.
and the second was by Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you. Councilmember Barcena,
Yes,
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pulido,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. We've completed that item. City Manager, discussion item 16.
Thanks again, Mayor Cortez. This item is the annual item that's brought before the council for appointments to external committees. Staff's recommendation that at this time the council make any changes, reappointments or appointments as necessary. There's a pretty detailed matrix attached of all the external regulatory advisory boards, commissions, committees, and those that are automatically mayor seated are listed as such in those matrix. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. In the same manner, I'm going to go ahead and take in order. So for the JPA, for delegate, I'd like to remain, but there is a vacancy for alternate. Is there anyone who wants to be an alternate?
I'll be the alternate.
Okay. Any changes to contract cities? Councilmember Chavez, can you attend those meetings?
As the alternate, I think I should be able to.
Yeah, it's an automatic appointment for the delegate, but unfortunately I can't attend. So I just want to make sure with your schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
I should be able to. Yes.
Any changes for the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority? Does anybody else want to take the alternate for that one? I'm currently listed as the alternate. Okay, Eco Rapid. Gateway Cities Council of Governments.
I would like to be the delegate for Gateways.
Okay. Any changes to the alternate? Number 7, Hub Cities. Any changes? Does anybody want to take the alternate for Hub Cities?
I'll go ahead and take the alternate for us.
Okay. Independent Cities Association, any changes? League, any changes? Los Angeles County City Selection Committee, there's a vacancy for the alternate.
Can I serve as the alternate?
Okay, Chavez for alternate. Sanitation, there's a vacancy for the alternate.
I can go ahead and be the alternate.
Okay. Okay, Siaka, there's a vacancy. Councilmember Barcena,
Yeah, that one I'm interested in, please. Thank you.
does anybody want to serve as the alternate for Siaka?
I'll be the alternate.
Okay. Any changes for Southeast Community Development Corporation? And then the last one, SCAG has a vacancy for the alternate.
I'll go ahead and volunteer if no one else wants to take it.
Okay, Barcena as the alternate. I'll go ahead and move to approve the changes. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, a roll call vote?
Councilmember Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Pulido,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez,
Yes.
and Mayor Cortez.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're now moving on to public participation on non-agenda items. Public participation is now open. City Clerk, will you please announce the instructions?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the joint City Council Successor Agency agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the members of the council and successor agency. Each speaker and written comment are limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through the Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from speakers that are in person. I have not received any in-person speaker cards. Are there any who want to speak virtually? I do not have anyone raising their hands virtually. We did receive one written comment, and I forwarded that to the full council, and it's speaking in opposition of rent control. I'm sorry, I do have one person who just raised their hand. Zoom ID, Eva, if you would please select the microphone icon on your device to unmute yourself.
Yes, did we cover the new map? How can we get a hold of that to see how Bell Gardens, the land use or something? Did we already cover? I might be out of step. Please excuse.
City Manager.
Yes, thank you, caller. Yeah, that item was approved, but the actual map itself is available on our website. If you were to search City of Bell Gardens agenda and look at the agenda, if you you could send an email also if you wanted directly to me, and we could get a copy of the map to you. My email address is M as in Mike, O'Kelly, OKELLY @bellgardens.org. So the map is available electronically online, but we'd be happy to get a paper copy to you as well.
How do I get it? Just go to the city.
We can. I have your contact information through the city clerk. I think we can just contact you directly and provide it to you. We'll reach out to you.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, that was the last caller.
Okay. If there's no objection by the members of the City Council and Successor Agency, I will now go ahead and close public participation. And we're going to go ahead and move on to City Council member, Successor Agency member comments. Councilmember Barcena.
Just want to say thank you, everyone, for a good meeting. And yeah, you guys have a good night.
Member Sanchez, Chavez.
Thank you so much for the folks that attended the city council meeting. It's great seeing the public here. Want to wish everyone a happy new year. I know it's like our first week here, so hope everyone has a great start to 2023, and let's continue on with this energy. Thank you.
Member Pulido.
No comments from me.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanchez.
I want to say Happy New Year to everybody and Happy Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I think we should appreciate our law enforcement every single day as well. And I'm really excited to see the app and continue working with everybody here. Have a great night.
Thank you. As far as my comments, I do want to congratulate Captain Musquiz, who was sworn in this week. A big round of applause for Captain Musquiz. And also, happy National Law Enforcement Day. Thank you to our Bell Gardens Police Department for everything that they do day in and day out. Today, we recognize all their hard work nationwide, given the circumstances and everything that has been going on with officers lately. So we pray that you guys return, well, men and women return home safely every single night, but thank you for serving our community. With that, if there's no objection by the members, I will now adjourn the City Council and Successor Agency Joint Meeting at 7:03 p.m.